We're live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Lipakshi Khurana. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Donald Trump hits the ground running, targets the Biden administration for ills plaguing the U.S. economy, says he survived assassination attempt as God was on his side.
With faith and devotion, I proudly accept your nomination for President of the United States. Thank you.
Trying to strike a chord with the middle class, Trump rakes up the issue of illegal immigration and inflation, says will bring down prices from day one in the office. Once defiant about continuing the presidential election run, U.S. President Joe Biden now soul-searching about dropping out as intense pressure continues to mount from within the party. Bangladesh remains on edge after violence against job quotas claimed 32 lives. Communication links snapped. State broadcast goes off air as TV stations set ablaze. And on to the details now. Former U.S. President Donald Trump formally accepted Republican Party's presidential nomination at the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee. Trump began a speech with his description on being shot at a rally earlier this week and said only because he happened to move his head did he survive.
When I heard a loud whizzing sound and felt something hit me really, really hard on my right ear, I said to myself, wow, what was that? It can only be a bullet, and moved. I felt very safe because I had God on my side. I felt that.
Trump also predicted incredible victory in November election as he called for an end to discord and division on the note of unity.
I stand before you this evening with a message of confidence, strength, and hope. 4 months from now, we will have an incredible victory, and we will begin the 4 greatest years in the history of our country.
The helmet and jacket of the firefighter who died at the rally was displayed to the side behind him on the stage. Trump went on to kiss the helmet of Corey Corumpetor, and a moment of silence was also observed in his honor. Melania Trump also joined Ivanka Trump, Jared Kushner and other family members in the arena. This was his first major speech since the assassination attempt. And Donald Trump focused on most election campaign topics in his speech at the RNC, reminding the gathering that during his tenure, everything from security of the nation to its economy. He hit the ground running and laid out clearly throughout plans for his action on a host of issues. The most talked about was the issue of inflation, which has been a rallying point for the Republicans. Trump promised action on day one if he makes it to the White House.
And starting on day one, we will drive down prices and make America affordable again. People can't live like this. Under this administration, our current administration, groceries are up 57%, gasoline is up 60 and 70%, mortgage rates have quadrupled. Republicans have a plan to bring down prices and bring them down very, very rapidly. By slashing energy costs, we will in turn reduce the cost of transportation, manufacturing, and all household goods.
While Trump also touched upon the issue of illegal immigrants, calling them invaders.
I will end the illegal immigration crisis by closing our border and finishing the wall, most of which I've already built. We built, most of the wall is already built. and we built it through using the funds because what's better than that? We have to stop the invasion into our country that's killing hundreds of thousands of people a year. We're not going to let that happen.
Further, Trump tried to rally the minority voters with him, alleging that the immigrants outcompete blacks and Hispanics for jobs in the U.S.
And you know who's being hurt the most by millions of people pouring into our country? The black population and the Hispanic population, because they're taking the jobs from our black population, our Hispanic population, and they're also taking them from unions. The unions are suffering because of it.
True to his word earlier, Trump refrained from direct hits at the U.S. President Joe Biden, naming his just once, but hitting out at his policies for the last 4 years.
If you took the 10 worst presidents in the history of the United States, think of it, the 10 worst, added them up, they will not have done the damage that Biden has done. Only going to use the term once. Biden. I'm not going to use the name anymore, just one time. The damage that he's done to this country is unthinkable. It's unthinkable. Together we will restore vision, strength, competence, and we're going to have a thing called common sense making most of our decisions.
Well, Trump once again repeated his earlier statements on Ukraine conflict and the Middle East situation, promising an end to hostilities in both the places.
Been part of. Nobody can believe what's happening. War is now raging in Europe and the Middle East. A growing specter of conflict hangs over Taiwan, Korea, the Philippines, and all of Asia. And our planet is teetering on the edge of World War III. And this will be a war like no other war because of weaponry. The weapons are no longer army tanks going back and forth shooting at each other. These weapons are obliteration. It's time for a change. This administration can't come close to solving the problems. We're dealing with very tough, very fierce people. They're fierce people.
Well, Trump also went on a rhetoric to say that he will go to any length and not allow any circumvention by Chinese companies to send electric vehicles in the U.S.
I will end the electric vehicle mandate on day one, thereby saving the U.S. auto industry from complete obliteration, which is happening right now, and saving U.S. customers thousands and thousands of dollars per car. And right now, as we speak, large factories, just started, are being built across the border in Mexico. So with all the other things happening on our border, and they're being built by China to make cars and to sell them into our country. No tax, no anything. We're going to bring back car manufacturing, and we're going to bring it back fast.
And U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris on Thursday slammed former President Donald Trump and his running mate, U.S. Senator J.D. Vance, calling their 2025 project as extreme and divisive. Harris attended a campaign rally in North Carolina. This is Harris's 15th trip to North Carolina since she took office in 2020. Harris slammed J.D. Vance for not talking about Project 2025 in a speech at the convention.
So some of you may have heard Donald Trump's running mate deliver remarks at the Republican National Convention. He talked about his life story about growing up in Southwest Ohio, and it was compelling. It's a compelling story. And it was not the full story. Frankly, what is very telling is what he did not talk about on that stage. He did not talk about Project 2025, their 900-page blueprint for a second Trump term. He did not talk about it because their plans are extreme and they are divisive. In recent days, they've been trying to portray themselves as the party of unity. But here's the thing. If you claim to stand for unity, You need to do more than just use the word.
While attacking Trump, Vice President Harris argued that references to unity at RNC speeches do not accurately portray Republican political aims.
You cannot claim you stand for unity if you are pushing an agenda that deprives whole groups of Americans of basic freedoms, opportunity, and dignity. You cannot claim you stand for unity if you are intent on taking reproductive freedoms from the people of America and the women of America. You cannot claim to be for unity if you try to overturn a free and fair election and threaten to terminate the United States Constitution. And you cannot claim to be for unity when your entire economic agenda is designed to prioritize billionaires and big corporations over the middle class.
While the walls appear to be closing in on Joe Biden, the U.S. president is facing the strongest calls yet to step aside and withdraw his candidacy for a second term. He's currently self-isolating, having tested positive for COVID-19. Benji Haya has been following a difficult 24 hours for the president. Take a look.
The avalanche of pressure on Joe Biden to stand down has picked up speed significantly as concerns grow over his health, age and fitness for office. Lawmakers at the very top of the Democratic Party, including Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, are making it known, albeit through media leaks, that they think President Biden has little or no chance of beating Donald Trump. Even Barack Obama has pitched in, reportedly telling allies that his once vice president needs to seriously consider the viability of his candidacy. Weeks on from a stumbling debate performance, recent polls show nearly 2/3 of Democrat voters believe Biden should remove himself from the presidential race. The White House and Biden's campaign remain undeterred. So far, the 81-year-old has served up a temperate, stubborn defiance. But if you take it as a given that there is dissent at the very top of the party, the president's days as a candidate could well be numbered. He is the figurehead of a party disunited, a stark contrast from Republicans who are falling in line behind their nominee following Trump's close brush with death. Benji Haya in Washington reporting for DD India.
And moving on, France's lower house has sat for the first time since the inconclusive election on July 7th left the country with a hung parliament and no certainty over the composition of the new government. The speaker, Yael Braun-Pivet, who is from President Macron's party, was re-elected to the role. DD India correspondent Ross Cullen reports for more.
French MPs convened for the first time on Thursday since the general election earlier this month produced no clear result, with no one party gaining a majority, meaning that France has a hung parliament and also currently a caretaker government. Now, one of the first jobs for the new and returning MPs on Thursday was to vote for the position of Speaker of the National Assembly. And there will likely now follow weeks of political discussion between the parties to work out if there is a roadmap to form a future government. Now, a lot of the attention will be focused on the left wing. 4 leftist parties ran under the umbrella ticket in the election of the new Popular Front. They were the Greens, the Socialists, the Communists and the France Unbowed Party, and they are the largest bloc in Parliament, and so they are likely to form the dominant force of any possible future coalition. The caretaker administration here in France will remain in place for at least the duration of the Olympic Games, which kick off in the French capital next week. Ross Cullen in Paris reporting for DD India.
While Bangladesh continues to simmer as 32 people have been killed and hundreds of others injured in countrywide protest so far. Television news channels were off the air after protesters attacked on the Bangladesh state broadcaster's headquarters in Dhaka. Internet and telecommunications were also widely disrupted on Friday amid violent student protest against quotas for government jobs. The official websites of the Bangladesh Central Bank, the Prime Minister's office and police appear to have also been hacked. While the United Nations has meanwhile urged the Bangladesh government to protect the protesting students against any form of threat or violence. And still to come on this edition of DD India Live. Air India flight en route from Delhi to San Francisco diverted. More details ahead. The Olympic torch relay is touring major French destinations before finally culminating on the opening ceremony of the Paris Olympic Games on July 26th. And in cricket, India will face Pakistan on the first day of 2024 Women's Asia Cup on Friday.
As the world gears up for the biggest sporting extravaganza, Olympics 2024, we at DD India are all set to bring you reports, reactions and all the latest action from Ground Zero. Watch DD India's super exclusive show, Cheer for Bharat. Only on DD India from July the 22nd at 6:30 p.m. IST, 1 p.m. GMT. Get ready to cheer for Indian athletes at the Paris Olympics 2024.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Lipakshi Kuran, and moving on, a team of senior officials of Indian Embassy in Moscow is on the ground in Krasnoyarsk to assist the passengers of Air India flight to San Francisco, which made emergency landing last night. The embassy, in a social media post, has informed that the team is coordinating with airport and security authorities and representative of the Russian Foreign Ministry to provide all possible assistance to the passengers. The team will stay on ground in Krasnoyarsk till Air India's replacement plane arrives and takes the passengers on their onward journey. The San Francisco-bound Air India flight, with all 225 passengers and 19 crew members, made an unscheduled landing at Krasnoyarsk International Airport in Russia on Thursday due to a technical glitch. And in another significant operation, the Indian Army successfully eliminated 2 terrorists attempting to infiltrate across the line of control in Karen sector of Kashmir. 2 hardcore foreign terrorists were killed along with recovery of weapons, warlike stores and a Pakistani identity card. This was the 3rd such successful anti-infiltration operation on the line of control over the last few weeks. And in Jammu and Kashmir, a massive search operation is currently underway in Doda district following the martyrdom of 4 soldiers, including the captain, in the Desa forest on Monday night. 2 army soldiers received injuries during a gunfight with terrorists in a remote forest village in Doda district early on Thursday, even as security forces persisted with their intense operations. Despite inclement weather and challenging terrain, security forces are conducting the operation to track down the terrorist. And moving on, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi announced the next episode of his radio program, Man Ki Baat. PM Modi took to social media platform X to share the day and date as 28th of July, Sunday. He also expressed happiness on the efforts of the youth to transform society. He encouraged the audience to keep sending input as well. And as rain continues in other parts of India, the northeastern state of Assam is seeing improvement in its flood situation. The number of inundated districts has reduced to 13. The regional meteorological center in Guwahati predicted no rains for the next 2 days. However, the Brahmaputra River is flowing above the danger level in some areas, including Nimati Ghat, Tezpur, Dhubri and Karimganj. And now let's take a look at other stories making news today. In India's northeast state of Assam, the cabinet on Thursday approved a bill to abolish the Assam Muslim Marriages and Divorce Registration Act and Rules of 1935, which permitted underage marriages under specific conditions. The state's Chief Minister, Himanta Biswa Sarma, made the statement and said the repealing bill 2024 will be presented during the upcoming monsoon session of the Assembly. India's Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri will be on a two-day official visit to Bhutan from Friday. This will be his first visit abroad from assuming charge. During the visit, Misri will meet Prime Minister Shering Topke, Foreign Minister D.N. Tangyel and Foreign Secretary Pema Chodin, among others. Misri will also receive an audience with Bhutanese King Jigme Khesar Namgyel Wangchuk. India's National Investigation Agency has arrested a key aide of designated individual, Khalistani terrorist Lakhbir Singh Sandhu, in a major terror network case involving the supply of deadly weapons. Identified as Baljit Singh alias Rana Bhai, hailing from Badwani district of Madhya Pradesh, was arrested on Thursday from Punjab and found to be a major weapon supplier to Lakhbir's agent in Punjab. As per the NIA, these supplied weapons were used to carry out large-scale terror activities, including extortions from businessmen and others. And on to sports now with the upcoming Paris Olympics 2024. Just round the corner, the Olympic torch relay made its way through the Department of OSA on Thursday. Stage 60 of the relay saw torchbearers start in Copenhagen before finishing up in Beauvais, where 1996 French Olympic fencing champion Sophie Moresse-Pistol led the cauldron. Friday's stage will go from Château de Thermicure to Soissy-Montmorency. The relay will culminate with the lighting of the cauldron in the host city Paris during the opening ceremonies of the Games on July 26th.
On y va! Ça y est!
And meanwhile, with just a week to go for the Paris Olympics, there are interesting facts about the marquee event. Though the opening ceremony will take place on the 26th of July, but the sporting action begins on the 24th of July with pool matches in football, rugby sevens, handball and archery. Take a listen.
As the world braces for sporting extravaganza, here are some interesting facts about the Paris Olympics, ranging from its opening ceremony, mascot, addition of new sports, prize money and more. The opening ceremony will be held on 26 July, but the sporting action begins on 24 July with pool matches in football, rugby sevens, handball and archery. The opening ceremony will take place along the River Seine. The first medals will be awarded on July 27. The competition will conclude on 11 August with the closing ceremony. There are 329 gold medal events. The first medal of the Games will be in shooting on July 27. The final medal will be awarded in women's basketball on 11th August. The only new sport for the 2024 Olympics is breaking. It is a style of dance that originated in New York during the 1970s but has evolved to become a competitive sport. Kayak cross will also make its debut. 4 athletes in each heat race will compete against each other. In sailing, 2 kite events have been added, and in artistic swimming, men are included for the first time in Olympic history, and team acrobatic routine round will make its debut. Baseball, softball and karate featured in Tokyo Olympics, but they have been dropped. There is change in format for sport climbing. There will be a combined medal for lead and bouldering and a separate medal event for speed climbing. The Olympic mascot is Phrygian. The name is based on the traditional small Phrygian hats. The Olympic and Paralympic mascots are shaped on it. It is a symbol of freedom through French history. The motto of the mascots is "Alone we go faster, but together we go further." World Athletics has announced a total prize pot of $2.4 million, with gold medalists receiving $50,000. Paris joins London as the only cities to host the Olympics 3 times. The Games were held in Paris in 1900, 1924 and now in 2024, while London hosted the Games in 1908, 1948 and 2012. Pratik Narayan Singh reports for DD India.
And on to some cricket news now. The first day of the 2024 Women's Asia Cup on Friday will see the big clash between Indian women's cricket team and Pakistan at the Rangiri Dambula International Cricket Stadium. India will come in the game as the defending champions and have won the tournament 7 times. They also have an 11-3 lead over Pakistan in women's T20 international meetings. On the other hand, Pakistan entered the event after an inconsistent run of results in their bilateral commitments, but they do have the confidence to upstage India as they did in the 2022 edition of the tournament at Sylhet in Bangladesh. All right, that's all for this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Lipakshi Khurana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.